What's up, everybody? That was a transcription that I recently found. And obviously, I tried to hit the next page button and it didn't work. Operator error. Joseph Kellerman, who is a tuba player, KELEMEN.com, has a whole bunch of transcriptions. That one I have, that's the Travel and Light version of Frosty the Snowman. And that is, of course, Sam Pilafian's part that I was just making an attempt at. I just found this thing, so I worked on it for about 2 minutes. It is hard for me to play that fast while trying to swing and not making the notes too present, but also not dragging. So you got a little bit of of all of those things, of not quite swinging, whatever. I applaud anybody who puts things that are not super polished up online, because it's real easy to just try things over and over and over and over and over again until you get it perfect. So I figured I would put my money where my mouth was, and and just and essentially read that for you. I say read that, but that version is like emblazoned in my brain. So it's also got Sweet Georgia Brown. That one is going to take some time. It's a great resource if you go to josephkellerman.com. All right, so first things first. There we go. Sorry, there is the proper mic. I got the tuba mic and I was just speaking into the tuba mic, which is why the first line says change the mic. Welcome to another TEM coaching chat. This one is titled The Power of Routine. And I am actually going to read a quick passage here from an upcoming book that I have. It was supposed to come out in the fall, and I intentionally delayed it because, I had some other things come up, including life, but some other more important professional things. But the thing is mostly written. But here's a piece called "The Power of Routine" from that upcoming book. It opens with a quote from the great author Somerset Maugham, which is, "I write only when inspiration strikes. Fortunately, it strikes every morning at 9 o'clock sharp." And then I go on, "The power of routine is really summed up perfectly by this quote from prolific British author W. Somerset Maugham. He sat down at the exact same time every single day, whether he felt like it or not, and simply wrote. The regularity of the process meant that inspiration came to him on his schedule, and inspiration apparently came regularly to him. He was reputedly the highest paid author in the world in the 1930s. This goes against a lot of conventional wisdom surrounding artists. It is not uncommon to hear of people waiting for inspiration to visit them as if it is something that can't be controlled in any way, rather than scheduling it themselves. If Mr. Maugham ever said that inspiration visited him every morning at 9 a.m., I definitely missed that quote. I'm sure that wasn't the case, because that's not how inspiration works for anyone. But you sure can rig the system in your favor by continuing to show up over and over again in a structured manner. I can speak from personal experience that I tend to do better work and more of it when I have some structure in place. In the early days of my website, I committed to posting to my blog 3 times per week for 1 full year. I posted a Monday YouTube fix, which featured a recommended video of some kind, as well as 2 other short blog pieces each week. Throughout that year, there were some busy weeks when it was incredibly inconvenient to post 3 times. But because I had made a commitment to myself, I was able to follow through on 156 blog posts during that calendar year. It made me a better writer. It led to a lot of traffic on my website, as it still does today. And it forced me to constantly seek out new things to learn in order to always have something to write about. I am so thankful for that year. There is zero chance I would have written anywhere close to that number of posts if my goal had simply been to post more to my blog, no matter how much I meant it. If history is any indicator, I would have posted 3 times a week for maybe a month, and then it would have started trailing off. It was the spend, by the way, editor's note, that might be generous. It might be more like 2 weeks, and then it would have trailed off, but I gave myself a month. It was the specificity of my plan which led to a routine being created out of necessity. If you are struggling with consistency in any aspect of your career, tap into the power of a structured routine. You just might be amazed at how productive it makes you. The reason that year of blog posts worked was because I was specific with my goal. And this is just me, just off the cuff here. I'm no longer reading from the piece from the book. Um, every morning, as I mentioned, was a Monday YouTube fix, and then I would try for a short blog post, like usually short blog post every Tuesday and every Thursday. Regardless of whether I hit on Tuesday and Thursday, there had to be 2 posts in between Monday YouTube fixes, and I never posted 2 on the same day. And in fact, I never posted on Saturday and Sunday, which would have been the last minute, obviously, to get it in time for the Monday. This led to me planning ahead, both creatively, as in what I was going to write. I mentioned in that piece that I had to find things that I was curious about learning about, and scheduling wise, as in forced me to write ahead of time sometimes when I knew I had a particularly busy week coming up. And this was all done, by the way, while I was still in Boston Brass. So I was on the road probably 6 or 7 months that year, including some family travel. Yeah, I was away for more days than I was home for, and I was still able to do it. I think the other reason it worked for me was because it was realistic. It was like aggressively realistic. The Monday YouTube fix was an easy post. I just found a cool clip and then wrote a short blurb on it. Sometimes the blurb was more extensive, and sometimes it was just a paragraph. I was constantly keeping my eyes open for new clips to share, and that I just got into a rhythm there, and so that part was easy. And actually, going off of the scripted notes here, that actually led to another thing, which is that on my YouTube channel, I have some playlists for just about each instrument that have a wide range of classical and jazz and other improv of players on each instrument. And that was also all a part of like all of this looking for the Monday YouTube fix. And people still find me through those playlists. I get feedback from a lot of band directors, a lot of educators that direct their students to those lists or that use them themselves to find clips, and that all just came out of this regularity of finding YouTube clips. All right, back to the schedule here. I then just needed to find 2 things to write about each week other than that YouTube fix. Sometimes they were quite short, sometimes they were longer. 2 was the sweet spot for me. It was challenging at times to get it done, but I was always able to find something to write about. If I had set a goal of writing 5 blog posts a week for a year, I doubt I would have lasted a month. So I would encourage you to choose something that's worth doing and commit it, and then find something that's worth doing, and then commit to it for a specific amount of time, and commit to a specific amount of whatever is. And while goals need to be reasonable, don't sell yourself short. If I had tried it out for a month, no way I would have done a second month because it was easier to not write any of the blog posts. So maybe you've got a year in you, like I did. I still get traffic to andrewhitz.com and to my now named Hits Academy blog there from that year's worth of blog posts, and that now today helps me to sell my Hits Academy practice coaching services, my TEM coaching, my inside the practice room events, lessons, everything. It all the traffic helps to get people into my ecosystem, and then that helps to sell stuff, because until you know that I offer one-on-one practice coaching, like nothing to do with operating a tuba or a trumpet or an oboe, which is good because I don't know anything about operating an oboe, but it's all about like practice coaching. Like, and I have two different, kinds of sessions, which are like practice tactics and planning, and then accountability sessions, which are shorter. Until you know that I offer that, there is absolutely no way that you are going to pay me money to help you become a better practicer. And so you got to get people into your ecosystem to get them to realize that you offer something in the first place. So I strongly recommend choosing a specific routine and then sticking with it for, again, a predetermined amount of time. And that last part I think is important, because also if it was open ended, if I had said I was going to do 3 blog posts a week forever, that I wasn't ready to do that at that time. I was not ready for that kind of a commitment. And while it was great, I have not repeated that year. And well, like I said at the top, like from the book that has yet to be named and has yet to be released, I ended up intentionally working on some other things instead, just because those were the more pressing things for me to work on professionally. And so I would have bailed pretty early on, I think. Maybe for legitimate reasons, but also maybe just for lazy reasons, if that had been a 3 blog posts per week forever. And so I'm happy that I had a specific amount of time. But I bet if you commit to something like this and then stick to it for some set amount of time, I bet you'll be happy that you did. So anyway, thank you for checking this out. I am doing one of these TEM coaching chats every Tuesday at about 10 p.m. Eastern. The 10 p.m. Eastern has turned into like 10:05 or 10:08 or like somewhere in there. But I'm gonna try and keep doing these. I think this is my fourth week in a row, and I'm enjoying it. And I'm getting some really nice feedback about it, and it's also inspiring me to play just a little bit of tuba at the beginning. By the way, the origin of that was practical, because I flicked the switch here on like my multi-stream software, and it says it goes live, but it doesn't quite go live right then. So you can either start talking and then like the beginning of the talk gets cut out, which isn't ideal, or you can just, I can just sit here like an ass and just like, and that's not ideal either. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to play just a little bit of tuba at the beginning. And if there's a little less tuba, nobody's going to complain. So that is why I have started these things with the tuba, starting with like the second week. So, all right. So I will. There's going to be a new. There may not be a TEM episode this week, just with with the holidays. I'm not sure. I'm going to try, but I got family coming in. Things are a little crazy. There will definitely be back to normal in January, weekly. Those are going to be releasing on Tuesdays. And you can always find me at tem.fm or andrewhits.com or hitsacademy.com or pedalnotemedia.com or banddirectorsguide.com, or half of the internet will eventually, with just a couple of clicks, will get you to me. Thank you very much. And